Yo, 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 what is going on, guys? Average Player here. So yeah, I had a Master Duel video coming out soon. Um, that's basically it. I gotta do a whole bunch of editing, so it's gonna take me a while, especially working a lot of hours in my job. These weren't even set up right. So I have fixed most of the lighting problems when I do deck profiles and stuff like that, so that's a good thing. But I noticed that when I do deck profiles, it is not probably, it is the thing that gets me the most views in on my YouTube channel, and I gotta grow my channel somehow. And I hope the Master Duel thing is actually the one that's gonna help try to boost me. But in the meantime, deck profiles are gonna be where it's going to, and I'm not trying to milk it for all it's worth. Deck profiles are good. Sometimes deck profiles can be a little too much. So obviously you can tell it's Salamangreats. Before we get into Salamangreats though, I'm gonna talk about what I'm building as well as Phantom Knights. As you can tell, I have a pretty good selection. I'm waiting for 2 more of these. And then Raid of Aramasir, I'm missing all 3. But I'm getting close on the engine so far. But I'm getting there for the Phantom Knight build. When that gets done, I will definitely do a deck profile on that too. But on Master Duel, when I play Master Duel for you guys, it's going to be me playing my Phantom Knight build on there, which is going to be, Rongo version, because Rongo is insanely broken and it should never have been legalized on Master Duel anyway. And the reason why I haven't posted very much is obviously I've been working a lot, and then I came down with some weird medical stuff that's kind of hard to explain. But I'm better now, so yeah, so that's one thing. But I've only gone to 2 locals probably in the past month or 2, and I went to 3. I went 3-1, 2-2, 2-2. So I haven't been doing too good. But it turns out that Dragoon and Verte Anaconda don't necessarily fit in every single deck, and that's why I made another deck profile showcasing the deck without it. Because unfortunately it does hurt you and lock you out of most situations. But with the meta changing and stuff like that, I figured, I can take that stuff out and the Solemn Judgments and add in a couple more cards to try to help me be able to play the game and control the tempo. Going first is what this deck is good at. Mostly when you go first, you're going to end on Baguska with a Link Monster and probably Roar and a couple hand traps and just pass. But when you go second, that's where this deck needs to be able to shine. That's why I play hand traps that allow you to go second. Like Nibiru. So if you draw Nibiru on your first turn and your opponent has a combo deck, you're basically just going to stop them dead in their tracks unless they get Wandering Griffin Rider out. But in that instance, you're going to try to bait out that negate beforehand, because we play hand traps like Infinite Impermanence and Ash Blossom, which are way more potent. Andrew and Lockbird. So those are way more potent in the meta than Nibiru. So they might try to stop that first. But also at the same time, since you'd be going first, it doesn't really affect you. It only affects your opponent, and then it basically just allows you to play through whatever the hell they got. So let's get into this deck profile. Obviously, if you've watched the channel before, it's main deck first, and then extra deck. The side deck, I will be showcasing that. It's just not showing because it's going to be a big secret. 1 copy of Gazelle and 2 copies of Foxy. That's basically it. You can play Foxy at 3, make it a 41 card deck, and you really won't hurt anything. Next is 3 copies of Spinny. You play 3 copies of him. This most of the time starts off your plays. If you discard Spinny, if you got any of your normal summons like Foxy or Gazelle or any like Flame Buffalo or something like that, and you have a way to get into a Salamangreat monster, any of your level 3s, you can just go straight in the Barrage Stallion. This card special summons itself, but you have to have a Salamangreat monster out, which is the only bad thing. But that's fine. Next is the rest of our Salamangreat monsters, which only play one of each of these. So it's Falco, Jaguar, and Fowl. They're all good at 1. You could play Jack at 2. So a couple of these cards you could play at a couple more. Falco and Fowl you played at 1 because you see this doesn't do anything on summon. It only does something when it's sent to the graveyard, and it can also resummon itself from the graveyard. Fowl only special summons itself from the hand if you were to normal or special or a Salamangreat. And Jaguar is good in the graveyard to help you keep recurring, but obviously you don't want to see him, so you play it at 1. But you can at 2, and it doesn't really do anything. Next is 2 copies of Lady Debug. These are the starters that you're going to want to play that get you further into your deck or get you to your Salamangreat cards as well. Lady Debug's just your 4th and 5th sign at mining. And then 2 copies of Flame Buffalo. Flame Buffalo is better than Lady Debug. Flame Buffalo allows you to discard a card, draw 2. So it has that synergy with, if you have Gazelle in your hand already, you're already able to... I'm fixing the camera. So it already has that synergy that if you already have Gazelle in your hand, basically discarding special summon, and you get all that advantage off of Gazelle. And then you can chain block with it because when it's sent to the graveyard. So if you link him off, it's when it leaves the field. Send it to the graveyard. For your Balinks, you can chain 2 him and then chain 1 Balinks. So you can get your Sanctuary, because people are generally going to stop you from getting your Sanctuary due to how good of a card it is. Because that's what allows you to do most of your plays and allows your Sunlight Wolf to do what Sunlight Wolf does. Next is Extenders, 1 backup, 1 Archiver, and 1 Exceed. So, because you can play a rank 4 toolbox in this, you can definitely play an extra Exceed. But since it is Salamangreat's, level 3s are a little bit more important, especially because of Mirage Stylo. Mirage Stylo being at 1, you make him. It does lock you in the fire effects, which is fine. But you're just able to basically link climb at that point. Yeah, Parallax can be played at 2 to get more access to your rank 4 engine. If you notice, we only play... That's our 4th rank, level 4 monster. So yeah. Next is our, slew of hand traps. So, 3 copies of Ash. 2 copies of Nib. I'm actually just gonna do it like this. 2 copies of Droll. 1 copy of Lancia. And 2 copies of Imperm. Now, I feel like because this deck can play a lot of hand traps and get away with it. So it's 3, 5, 7, 8, 10. I play 10 hand traps. For most of the decks in this format, these cards are really good. Ash is just good in general. Nibiru stops all the combo decks. Joel and Lockbird also stops all those combo decks. Artifact Lancia makes your opponent can't banish. So this stops the PK right at Aramasir deck. Or PK Adventure Token. This stops PK and Drytron. This stops PK. This stops anything that combos, and Infinite Permanence just overall solid. With the side deck, obviously we play 1, 2, and 2 of most of these. Because for some decks, the Lancia and the Joel can come out for, Ghost Bell, because that's played in the side deck. So that's what we play for hand traps. You can definitely go and put on 3 Nibiru and obviously still make it a 41 card deck. And that's completely fine. And so next we're playing, next is the Salamangreat Spells, which is 1 Sanctuary, 2 copies of Circle, and your 1 copy of Will. So one of this, you don't want to see them in your opening hand. You do, it's generally a brick. Will sometimes comes in clutch, but if you see more than 1 in your hand, it kind of sucks. And then Circle, you max this card out if you can. If this card comes to 3, you're playing it at 3. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Next is Sign at Mining. Obviously, I talked about the Lady Debug being your 4th and 5th copies of Sign at Mining. You play 3. It just helps you, A, get farther into your deck, and B, helps you get your Gazelle and yada yada yada. Also has a nice thing, if you discard a Salamangreat for it, add Gazelle, because it's in the same chain. Gazelle will special summon itself out and get you with that advantage. 1 copy of Arpstar Goblin. Next, and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Upstart Goblin, you play that, basically makes your deck a 39 card deck. Life points really don't matter. Your opponent gains 1,000. You're drawing a free card. It's good. Next is one Crossout Designator and one Called by the Grave. So in the same instance of you're playing Nibiru, and you can use it on your opponent, this deck hates Nibiru, so Crossout Designator is good. If I really wanted to, I could probably max this deck out, probably put it at a 45 card deck, get back my Crossout Designators, put it at 3. So I have access to that, and then put in, that'd be 41, 42, and then the third Nibiru would be 43, and then just find more copies of cards, like another Droll and Lockbird, make it 44, and then probably, you know, something else. I wouldn't know. Probably 44 would be max. But yeah. There's those, and then for the traps, you play 2 Roar and 1 Rage. So Roar is your Omni Negate of the deck. Roar is super good. And Rage is just your pop. Most of the time, you're going to see Roar, and you want to see Roar, because decks can't handle that really big, stupid Omni Negate. But some decks can't handle you having Rage out and just doing a whole bunch of pops. So if you're playing against a really big spell and trap heavy deck, like you're playing against anti-meta, most of the time you're siding out 1 Roar, so you still have 1 and a Rage. And then you obviously put in all your spell and trap card removal. Because if you pop it before they can activate it, because most anti-meta decks just play cards that, like Mirror Force and all this other stuff that you really don't expect. Now for the extra deck, like I said, I took out the Dragoon package, and you can probably tell, 2 copies of Bale. You don't play it at 1, you play it at 2. Bale, if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it, save a salad. So that's good. 3 Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf is the guy you really want at 3. That's the only one I would recommend playing at 3. And you could cut it down because of Jack Jaguar being a thing. But having him at 3 is actually better because you can see it next turn. And even if you use Jack Jaguar to return 1 to your extra deck, you can just summon into him again and then grab your spells and traps. And then, here's what changed. 2 Heatleo. You could just link into him again and then make your modulate your opponent's monster's attack. You really don't use that much. Its effect isn't once per turn to pop spells and traps. And most decks like Phantom Knight and stuff like that does do this. So if it's Link Summon, you bang bang, you're popping spells and traps, so it basically almost forces them to use it. And in this deck, you can just link it away. Because I still don't have access code, but you just use him to make access code. And then use access code to banish him to make him gain all that attack and stuff like that. So you're basically making your opponent use that stuff. So that's your Salamangreat Link monsters. And next is for the rest of the Link monsters. You play 1 copy of Update Jammer. If I was playing access code, that would be the card make your access code swing twice. So basically ends the game because access code can pop 2 monsters, have really high attack, and then attack twice. So that's your game that helps you with your game ender. 1 copy of Splash Mage. You want to talk about getting farther into your combo. Splash Mage, if you really need to, use Splash Mage to get farther into your combo, especially when you get into Transcode Talker, because Transcode Talker allows you to revive. You Transcode Talker, Update Jammer underneath it, and you're basically trying to make your access code under Transcode. So it gains that 500 more attack, and this time it can't be targeted by any card effects. So even after it uses its stuff, say your opponent has Fogblade, can't target it with Fogblade, and it's going to be sitting at pretty damn close to 7,000 attack, which your opponent really can't do anything about. And with it swinging twice, that's going to be game. But because I don't have access code, because I still can't afford a $60 card, Borlo Dragon is the substitute. Basically, you swing with him, you steal a monster, you swing with him again, you steal a monster. He can't swing after that, but you can swing with the 2 monsters. And then you can just go into main phase 2, link him off, or XC with him, whatever you want to do. And so he has his uses that, because you don't have access code, there's that. Next XC monsters, we only play 4. We used to only play 3, but now we play 4. 1 Stylo. If he was at anything higher, you would play just 1 copy of him, because that's all you need, actually. All of his effects are hard once per turn. And you can only use both a hard once per turn. So that's it. The next is Silent on an Arc. I chose this one I was actually in a debate with myself between Silent on Arc and Time Thief Redoer. I figured on Arc would be a little bit better, especially since if you are able to get this card out anyway, you generally play through most of your opponent's negates. Most people don't play Dragoon anymore. So use Silent on Arc to take one of their guys and attach it to them. Basically just another form of removal. In most case scenarios, you can just use this, take their Dagda before that Scythe comes back out. Even if so, or yeah, because if you're under Scythe Lock anyway, you can get him out. But you can use this to take your opponent's boss monsters. You could take, DPE. You could take, Verte Anaconda. You can take, if you negate Dragoon, you could take a Dragoon, absorb it. Whatever. So that is good. And it comes in. I haven't tried it out yet, and I will definitely do an update on it. But I did Silent Honor Arc because I figured that would probably be the best option besides Redoer. Redoer, all it does is steal opponent cards off your opponent's deck, basically, and then detaches what is based off of it and gains effects. So I didn't think that would be too much of a useful here. If you guys think this card should be replaced with something, let me know. Obviously, if it's going to be destroyed by battle or card effect, detach a material from it. So it steals out your opponent's card as the cost of taking off 2 materials, and then if it's going to be destroyed, you detach anyway, and it basically allows you to go into Zeus. And so, 1 Baguska. The reason why I took out Dragoon is because when you can make Dragoon, you can make Baguska, and Baguska has way more uses. There's Dragoons that 1 copy Omni Negate. Baguska sits in defense position and just has a lingering. Your opponent's monsters cannot activate their effects, which, if they're in defense position, because most starters on the field most starters start their combos and stuff on the field, which is why they're called starters. So Baguska's good, and it stops a lot of things. And then next is your 1 copy of Zeus, obviously because you're playing XCs. Any deck that plays any XC monsters is going to play Zeus. Zeus is the nail in the coffin. If you're able to get him out, your opponent really has a problem, and they're going to have to try to stop it. Zeus is good, and that's generally when your opponent knows that they're probably going to lose, because in this deck, if you're XC summoning anyway, when you detach, its cards aren't sent to the graveyard. The cards aren't going to be leaving the field or stuff like that. Just, cards like Spinny, not going to be banished, so that's going to be good. Zeus has that option where it clears the board except for himself, and then you're just able to combo around him after the fact, so that's good. But off the extra deck, now onto the side deck. 1 copy of Gamma Seal. I actually just put it here, because after this, it's just going to be hand traps that I'm going to side in. So 1 copy of Gamma Shield. I recommend everybody play a Kaiju of some sort. Gamma Shield is probably the best one to play in everybody's book. Kaijus are good. They get over Dragoon. They get over problematic boss monsters. Your opponent can't really respond to it because it's tributing their monster for a special summon onto the side of the field. So yeah, your opponent generally really can't do anything about a Kaiju. I guess I should have put this there. It's not really a hand trap, but token collector. This stops the adventure token package. It stops Sword Soul, 3 Ghost Bell. Like I said, you can take out a couple cards for Ghost Bell. And any of the hand traps in that main deck can be exchanged for Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell has so many uses. It's good against Tri-Brigade. It's good against Lyrilusk. It's good against any deck that uses the graveyard. It's good against Salamangreat. It's good against Phantom Knights. Even though Phantom Knights do banish for cost, you just got to play it right. And then your last hand trap is 1 copy of Nibiru. If you're playing against, you're generally probably not going to see your last copy of Nibiru. You're probably generally not going to side it in. But if your opponent don't put out negates, and for some odd reason the Lancia don't work, you could just put Nibiru and probably be fine. But yeah, so that's my excuse for 1 Nibiru, because the other 2 are in my main deck. There we go. Alright, next for your spell and trap removal. Probably the best card for spell and trap removal is triple Cosmic Cyclone. It does target, but it banishes it, so it gets rid of any floating effect. 1,000 life points really doesn't matter most of the time. And I play a lot of spell and trap card removal or negates or whatever. in my side deck, because most decks nowadays that are top tier play it. You know, Phantom Knights, they set Fog Blaze and they set their, you know, Shade Brigandine and stuff like that. And it's a quick play spell, so you can respond to stuff with it, which is good. This stops your opponent's Flunderies stuff, because they need that field spell to be able to do stuff on your turn. I've seen some Flunderies decks even play Mystic Mine. It gets rid of Mystic Mine. It really crushes anti-meta. So I play triple Cosmic Cyclone for a lot of those reasons. And this card was in the main deck. It's not anymore. It's triple Solemn Judgment. I figured more hand traps would be better, even though Judgment does work wonders. And like I said, Cosmic Cyclones and stuff like that, those things are really prevalent in today's meta. A lot of people play them. So if you have a card set like Solemn Judgment, and they're going to Cosmic Cyclone it, what's the point of activating Judgment if it's going to be destroyed anyway and you're not paying any life points? But it's still nice and techy. I tried it out in the main deck. It really didn't work, so I was like, screw it. Side deck it goes, and it's probably good, better suited there. Because if you're main decking it and you side it out and put it back in, and especially if people are already seeing you like play that deck, they know, hey, he's main decking Solemn Judgment, so they know I'm gonna play around it. 1 copy of Ice Dragon's Prison. So this card's good. It gets DP out of your opponent's graveyard. It gets Dragoon out of your opponent's graveyard, or any nice combo pieces out of the graveyard, and then it can just get rid of the 2 cards. Banish the card and banish a card on the field. So Ice Dragon's Prison's good. If I had any more of it, I would play 3 copies, because this is a 12-card side deck. But yeah, Ice Dragon's Prison at 1, and then next, yeah, because cards like Solemn Judgment and Salamangreat Roar and stuff like that are a thing. I play 1 copy of Red Reboot. Set it, your opponent can activate traps for the rest of the turn, which this really sucks against Phantom Knights. Most of the stuff in here is basically to counter Phantom Knights, but any deck that really plays traps, this stops anti-meta, and it hurts them really hard. So it sets it, it negates it, it sets it, your opponent has to, not has to, but they can set another trap card this turn, but they can't activate any more trap cards. So that's it for the deck profile, actually. I'm on the watch for any of those adventure token stuff. If I finish the deck, it's probably going to be one of the most recent deck profiles I've put up. And when I get the Master Duel deck profile going, or not Master Duel deck profile, when I get the Master Duel video up, it's going to be a lot of editing, because in Master Duel, they have a lot of server problems. And that's with my personal experience. I load into duels all the time, and then it just keeps trying to connect, and then you get lagged out. So I'm just trying to get a duel in or whatever that doesn't really, make me lag out or anybody else. So that way I can get a content in for you guys. I'm trying to do a lot more uploads, and I know that if I want to put myself in the Yugi Tuber conversation and try to grow my channel, I am going to have to do more uploads. With being busy and stuff like that all the time, it really is hard. But anyway, I hope you guys had a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Please drop a like, comment on anything that you think I should change. Subscribe to the channel. It also helps me grow. Liking the channel, liking the comment, liking the video also helps me grow. And engaging in videos shows that people like to be a community. I like community. So anyway, and by the way, we have reached 20 likes on one of my videos, so I will have to get permission from the boss man at my local game shop. It's literally called the Game Shop, to record some duels there. I'm not just going to go there and just try recording shit and not have his permission and have him be like, hey, yo, dude, you can't be doing that here, So it's just a courtesy thing. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, and see ya.